Coming up on this episode of One-on-One Sports,
we discuss whether David Stearns' young age will be an issue as he transitions to becoming the Brewers general manager.
Plus, we compare athletes to Republican presidential candidates.
And we give you our favorite moment from the illustrious 95-year career of the National Football League.
All that and so much more.
And it all starts
right now.
Welcome back to another episode of One-on-One Sports. I'm Connor Del Prete, and I am currently applying to be the Cowboys quarterback for the next 8 weeks. So my shoulder feels fine.
And I'm Ben Greenberg, and we have a lot planned for you guys on today's show. But first, the starting five. The NBA is funding a study of player tracking devices that monitor players' movement during games. The devices are already used by some teams in practices and might soon be used in regular season games. This brings up the broader concept of advanced metrics in sports. And Connor, what do you think the value is there?
I think there's a lot of value, and I think you can find out how compatible certain players are with other players. If you look at a team like the San Antonio Spurs, they've made the playoffs the last 18 years. Their coach didn't just throw out random five-man rotations. He found out what players played well with each guy, and especially in the past couple years when Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, and Ginobili have been injured or need more rest, he's had to find role players and see which ones gel with the other ones.
Yeah, I think the principle of what you're saying, I agree with entirely. But here's what scares me. Great coaches do that by feel, not by numbers. I mean, to me, this feels like Moneyball coming to basketball. It's too much of these fancy metrics and not enough of just, hey, I've been around the game for 40 years as a coach, like Greg Popovich. I don't need some numbers to tell me who can play together.
Well, I mean, numbers certainly help. I mean, substitutions are key in the NBA. LeBron James doesn't play every game. No player plays the whole entire game. You need to find role players, and role players, sometimes you can look at numbers and say, this guy plays really well with others, and that'll make players happy because they're comfortable with them. Fans will be happy because they'll see good chemistry, and management will be happy because this can correlate to higher wins. That's more money in their pockets.
Don't get me wrong. I think there is value here. To me, I just could foresee the future right here, and I think this is going to lead to GMs who are crazy about this kind of stuff and are going to be, doing crazy things where they're playing LeBron less or always or whatever. When the average fan just looks at it and says, LeBron James is the best player in the NBA, put him on the floor, and then some fancy
but what about
GMs.
the role players? What about the role players?
I mean, I guess that's where the value is in the bottom role players. No one needs to be told how good Michael Jordan is. Right.
Last week, the NHL revealed that they will be placing independent concussion spotters in all 30 arenas this season. Before this change, the concussion spotters were ones employed by the teams. The independent spotters will log concussion symptoms. However, they will only assist the teams when asked by the team. Ben, is the NHL doing enough to prevent concussions?
No, the NHL is not.
Thank you.
But I can't just hammer the NHL here because I need to talk about the NFL, who is at the forefront of this. Odell Beckham Jr. got hammered over the middle in 2 weeks ago's game against the Cowboys. He plays for the Giants. He came off the field, and NBC cut to a report where they said that doctors were trying to examine him, and he ran back on the field before the examination was over. I mean, where are the guidelines here? Who's being held accountable?
And there's no jurisdiction. When you look at specifically the NHL spotters, they are only there to sit on the sideline and say, hey, this guy looks like he has a concussion. That's where their jurisdiction stops. The team still has the ability to keep a player on or take him off. And NHL is such a high contact sport. Players play through injuries all the time. So a concussion is no different. And they're not going to take some advice from a guy that doesn't even have to be a physician.
I agree. And also, I mean, first of all, I think this is NHL doing something that's a step in the right direction in having NHL.
When they're being sued by everyone and their mothers, then they're going to have to do something to save face.
Right, but in fairness, they should have NHL spotters that are employed by the NHL, not the teams.
Just needs to be more jurisdiction for the spotters.
All right. The Milwaukee Brewers have hired 30-year-old David Stearns as their new general manager. He's the youngest GM in baseball and now the third youngest of all time. Do you have a problem with management being younger than several players on the team?
Absolutely not, because age is just a number, Ben. It's experience that matters. This is a guy that had first of all, he interned with the Pittsburgh Pirates when he was at Harvard. Then he went to the MLB office in New York City where he saw the ins and outs of baseball. Then he was the director of baseball ops for the Indians. He has a similar situation in Houston that he does now with the Brewers. He's going to build the farm system, and it's going to be fine. I don't think age really matters that much.
Yeah, I agree with you, but for the sake of argument, I will say the other side. Look, to be president of the United States, you have to be 35 years old. I'm not comparing president to the GM of baseball, but there is value in age, right? Age equals wisdom in a lot of cases.
But you look at a guy guy like Theo Epstein. He was the youngest GM ever at 28 years old. What did he do? He simply just had 3 straight 90-win seasons. He signed guys like David Ortiz, Kevin Millar, and Kurt Schilling that ended the curse of the Bambino. That is a guy who succeeded at a young age, and Stearns can do the same.
And I think David Stearns is actually an exception to the rule. I think he in principle, age should matter. It should hold some weight.
Well, I mean,
however, in this case, a Harvard grad, I mean, I'm giving him the job.
Can't hurt him. Los Angeles Laker Kobe Bryant is looking to start the first game of his 20th season in the starting lineup. And head coach Byron Scott is looking to make sure he sees number 24 on the court more often than not. In an effort to keep Kobe Bryant healthy, Scott said Bryant will have a hard cap for minutes per game this season. Ben, is this the right way to handle a franchise legend, especially a guy that is as competitive as Kobe Bryant?
Honestly, I would let Kobe Bryant decide how many minutes he wants to play. I mean, I don't think the Lakers are really going anywhere in a very competitive Western Conference this year. I really don't. So it maybe his last year. Let the man decide. If you want to play 10 minutes a game, go ahead. You want to play 40 minutes a game, go ahead.
See, I'm not too sure that the Lakers are just written off this year. They could be a sleeper. The main goal of this season is to have the Black Mamba on the court.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, there are guys like D'Angelo Russell, Roy Hibbert, a healthy Julius Randle that can all take some of the pressure off Kobe. But I will say, if Kobe doesn't buy into this plan of the hard cap, it can become a PR nightmare for a team that does not need that. Such a young team should not have that much attention, already considering they're the Los Angeles Lakers.
I just think Kobe Bryant, maybe the best player, among the best players in NBA history, who's in his 20th season, shouldn't be being, told how many minutes he could play.
Well, if he wants to be a team player, he could, but this is Kobe Bryant, and this has the potential to end Kobe Bryant's career on a bad note, which is not what we want.
Right, but he himself can be concerned about that. The team doesn't need to tell him, in my opinion. The NFL has announced that 108 nominees for the Hall of Fame have been announced by the NFL. Biggest names include Brett Favre and Terrell Owens, who are eligible for the first time.
We're going to restart on that read.
Yeah, good.
What happened there?
How are we in time?
It's just weird because I just saw the. It's weirdly written in my words.
How are we running time? We're on time.
The NFL has announced the 108 nominees for the Hall of Fame. Okay, we're good.
All right, we're ready to go when you want. 5, 4, 3, 2.
The NFL has announced 108 nominees for the Hall of Fame. Biggest names include Brett Favre and Terrell Owens, who are eligible for the first time. Who are you most excited to see potentially inducted?
The first guy you said, Brett Favre, the gunslinger. And the reason why he's called that is because he throws passes so hard he has been known to break wide receivers' fingers. And this is a kid that was straight from the South in Mississippi.
Yeah.
He was born in Mississippi. He went to high school in Mississippi. He went to college at Southern Miss. And then he was put in Wisconsin with the Green Bay Packers. It was just the funniest thing to see this babyface Mississippi kid winning Super Bowl in 1996, running on the field like he just opened a Christmas present. It was amazing to see, and I can't wait to see his speech.
Excited for that, too. I'm going to pick more of a sleeper pick here. Rough and tumble, Mark Bavaro.
All right.
An old-time Giant, won the championship in 1990 with the team. Let me read you a quote from Bill Belichick when asked whether Mark Bavaro should be in the Hall of Fame. Quote, "Every time we played the Eagles," by the way, Bill Belichick was the Giants' defensive coordinator in those years. "Every time we played the Eagles, Mark Bavaro was out there on Hall of Fame defensive end Reggie White. He blocked him without any help. He blocked Reggie White better than most tackles blocked him. I think that alone should put him in the Hall of Fame. Mark has never gotten the recognition anyone who coached or played against him know he deserves."
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Hopefully both of them get nominated or inducted because those would be great speeches in general.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all the time we have for the starting 5. And wait a second. Nope. No text from Jason Garrett about my chances as the Cowboys quarterback. But coming up next, I sit down with my college football experts to play a little game of Magic 8 Ball.